As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
The Pacific Experience Podcast.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Hello, hello, hello.
This is the Pacific Experience Podcast, also known as the Pack X Podcast. We're live, we're rolling, we're ready to rock and roll, we're back and ready to attack. This is episode 39. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Lloyd.
Thank you. I'm John.
And we're live, we're rolling. Hey. So, as y'all know, summer, I'm pretty sure, wasn't the first day of summer today? The 21st?
I think you're correct.
Yesterday, actually. It is
yesterday. I think today's supposed to be the longest day, or that was yesterday. One of the two.
Yesterday was the first day of summer, June 21st. Today is June 22nd. We are up here in the Pacific Northwest with you folks. You are with us.
And we are with you.
That's right. So since it is now the first day of summer, while you're at it, make sure to get your fucking carpets clean, people. Goodness gracious.
Clean those carpets. Clean those carpets. That's dirty.
Right. That's right. Hey, real talk though, this is the time of the year to be getting it done. You know that feeling walking on something with your toes just being brushed in the carpet.
Sometimes you just gotta lick the dirt out of that carpet.
Jeez,
you don't want to be licking the dirt, do you?
Don't be a dog like John. Be a smart person. Call Neat Nick's Carpet Cleaning and mention promo code PACKXPOD for 25% off. You can call them at 503-245-5277. Up your in the PNW.
PM.
So, yeah, and just make sure to mention promo code PACKXPOD. You will save a quarter, 25% off, not a quarter, but 25% off of whatever services that you choose to do. They don't just clean carpet, they also clean furniture, things like that. This is the time of the year, so get it done. Mention our promo code, save yourself some money.
Just do it.
And lots of exciting things coming to you with the Pack X podcast.
Yes, sir.
I've had some people fall through with getting interviews. Definitely partied in another state. Partied outside of the realm of PNW. Met some fine folk and really fine folk actually. Gonna get some people coming on the show here soon. But John and I are here with you now. We got some bullshit to fucking talk about. Oh my gosh.
Lots of shit.
John, what the fuck's going on, dude?
Not much. I'm just enjoying this drink. It's a total domination. I thought it said total dominion, but total domination IPA. What is this? Ninkasi Brewing Company. That's what I'm drinking. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking good old 7 Seas from Gig Harbor themselves.
They're classic.
The Life Jacket IPA, and it is delicious.
Do you feel saved?
Saved?
Are you drowning in the water and you got a life jacket on?
I'm a life jacket freak. After that time, you and I almost died.
Oh my
in a fucking lake. So John and I were at a lake. This is actually for my bachelor party.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was a great bachelor party.
It was great. We were definitely on acid.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're on acid. We're on beer and acid and marijuana.
That's right. And
so, yeah, don't judge us.
Oh, come on. It's my fucking bachelor party. It was great. It was 3 days long. It was at a fucking lake. You probably have heard us mention on the show before. We call it Lake.
Lake Pesce.
Lake Pesce. Yeah, I had my best friends there. 3 days. Just fucking great time. Dude.
Oh, so much fun. But anyways, life jacket. Wear one.
Yeah, wear one. John and I went out on a single kayak, just fucking giggling around, just fucking fucked up beyond all belief.
Hey, let's go over here.
Yeah, we're like that. Yeah. And then we fucking tipped that son of a bitch. When we tipped the son of a bitch, we're probably, what, John, 20, 30 feet from the dock?
Not
Maybe
far
less
from the
than
dock.
that.
We're
not
like
far from the dock.
15, 20 feet. Yeah,
probably,
20 feet.
Yeah.
It's close. However, you flip the kayak, and you go back to the kayak thinking it's gonna like float or but the water gets in the kayak and it just starts filling up with water and it sinks.
Yeah.
So it's sinking, and you're high, and you think it's fun and games until it's no longer fun and games. You gotta save the kayak and save yourself and save everything else, and you're freaking out. You're tensed up, and you start sinking. It was terrifying. It was terrifying. Don't do it. Wear a life jacket, especially if you're going to be doing drugs or any kind of recreation.
Doesn't matter how good of a swimmer you are. If you're fucked up, just wear a life jacket.
Yeah, just wear a life jacket. Absolutely. If you're drinking, do it.
Yep. Was not expecting that to happen. I'm fucking around swimming after a cigarette that's floating away into the middle of the lake. I'm swimming after it.
I got it. I got to save the cigarette. Oh no, my flip-flops. I got to go get the flip-flop.
Yeah. And the next thing you know, I turn around. I'm like, well, my arms are kind of locked up now and
Tired.
It was about 20 feet in front of me.
Yeah, and the kayak was sinking.
Yeah.
It's like the weirdest thing you've ever seen. It's why would you design a kayak to sink when water starts getting, like, it was crazy.
Yeah. That was fucking
didn't
nuts,
think.
dude. What if
what if George Washington was gay? What if?
Whoa, curveball there. John's got some shit written down. I see that twinkle in your eye. You got some fucking shit to talk about, don't you?
Bro.
You got some shit. You fucking disgust, dude. What do you got on that notepad there, man? What do you got? What do you got for the fans?
You want to hear some?
What's going on in the Great PNW?
The Great PNW. There's plenty going on in the Great PNW. And the PNW, I guess
like
the feds was it feds or local sheriff?
I think it was
I don't know. It was some
both.
It was an authority
Yeah.
found how much meth?
Like $1 million
2 full
worth?
suitcases, 186 pounds of meth, just out there in the woods,
And then
in
they
the
got
middle of
fucking
some
high off
forest,
their
Okanagan
asses,
Forest.
and then said they found it all.
Well, there was
How
really.
many- wait.
Why
How-
is it
how many
186 pounds?
186 pounds?
Yeah, why wasn't it
They sold the other 200.
exactly? Well, it was probably more like 200 pounds, but somebody's got to pocket a little bit and make
That's
some
right.
cash out of it. So,
That's right, of course.
if you've ever seen Beyond the Pines, you know what we're talking about.
Or Super Troopers.
Or Super Troopers. Or if you are a cop, you probably know what I'm talking about.
Is there anything fucking exciting going on in the PNW other than some fucking meth being found and some
The sunshine. That's about it. I like the sunshine.
It is a great time of the year right now.
It's
Dude,
a great time of the year.
I've been fucking kayaking, dude. Good cardio, good upper body workout.
Yep.
It's great, man.
I've been shoveling rocks, been filling potholes because the sun's out, so I can start doing that, and just made a pad for a hot tub. So that was all rocks and things like that, so that was pretty good.
Getting dirty.
Yes, sir. Getting dirty.
Right on.
Yes, sir.
Well, speaking of Lake Placid, I was just talking to someone the other day about doing that. What is it? Like a soul bath?
What's that?
I don't know. Taking a bath, cleansing your
Salt?
soul. Right. No, dropping some fucking hallucinogens.
Oh.
Being out in nature, away from technology, and just untethering your connection to this reality, this dimension, if you will, your body.
There's so much to get, there's so much you get caught up in day to day. You got your job, 8 hours a day. You got to go somewhere and do something you don't like. Some of us
Plus
love it.
the 2
I love what I
hours
do.
usually spent commuting there.
Yep, the hour, 2 hours commuting there and back. So there's so much that we get caught up in doing. The stress, it carries on, and then you got to disconnect. You got to figure out a way to disconnect. Some people use drugs. Some people use alcohol. Sometimes, what I think the best thing to do is just go out in the woods, go out in nature, and absorb what God has given us.
Amen to that, dude. Do you think that there's some people out there that their way of disconnecting is just fucking freakish as fuck?
Freakish?
Fucking weird.
Yeah, have you ever seen...
You think? I think so. I think a lot of people out there get fucking weird.
There's that
dude.
Ben Affleck movie. I forgot the name of it, but it's called The Accountant. Have you seen The Accountant?
I've seen it.
Bro,
not the movie, though.
talk about weird. So he's like autistic or something. He's got an issue. So he does this weird ass tradition at night. He turns off all the lights. He turns on a strobe light, and then he turns on this crazy, scary death, techno music. I don't know the name of the music. Give me the name if you know it. Give me the name if you know it. And he takes a wood stick, and just rolls up and down, grills his shins, which is said to be the most painful thing you can do on your body. One of the most painful things. And he just fucking rolls it super hard. So that's a movie.
I would hope that's a movie.
There are people that do some crazier stuff. I hope it's a little bit nicer to yourself than that, though.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm not just talking about having a beer when you get off work or something like that, dude. I'm talking about getting lost in the fucking sauce. Dude.
Lost in the sauce.
Lost in the fucking sauce. Going out in the forest, taking your pants down.
It's my willy.
That's right, and just fucking letting that bitch fly in the wind.
I love it.
Yeah.
Let it fly. I wanna fly away, fly.
Yeah, man. It is important to do that kind of stuff. John, when was the last time you untethered?
Oh,
Like
what
that.
do you mean? Untethered, just
Yeah,
like took out,
fucking-
just went out somewhere.
Yeah.
Today was one of those days, just whenever I can get some manual labor in, believe it or not, like that's a good day for me because I work in office.
dude, I'm talking about really untethering. Like when your fucking ego gets striked down. When your ego gets removed from your consciousness. I'm talking like, obviously I'm leading towards fucking hallucinogens here.
I don't remember the last time.
Was it like,
Yes.
it was for me too.
Well, yep. That was how many years ago?
Quite a few.
1 year? Was it 1 year?
No, it was a year.
1 year?
Yeah.
1 year.
Yeah, I've been married.
I think it might have been actually like precisely 1 year.
It was.
When did you get married?
June,
June.
July, August. I got
July.
married August, so yeah,
August
late
was
July.
like, okay, yeah, so we're about a month out.
Yeah, we're moving up to a year since Lake Placid. Yeah, I mean, I'm at that point now where I don't need an untethering like that once a year. But
Once a year seems good, though.
probably that'd be. Oh, that
It's-
means it's time.
That's it? That's it?
Yeah, dude. I heard Joe Rogan use that term. He said like,
Untether.
no, not untether, but something about your ego. The awareness of your ego gets removed.
Yeah, you can do that every day. You don't have to go get quote unquote untethered with some hallucinogens, Like seriously, no, bro. If
I'm just kidding.
every
I believe
day,
it.
if you check yourself in everything that you're doing and know that like remove your ego, just think about it. Remove your ego. It's going to make your life so much better. You're not going to be stressed out as much because you're not going to be worried about your fucking ego getting broken. You're going to make life better in the office or in the wherever you're working, right? I work in an office, so it's more relevant. And I mean, it's just going to be so much. Life is so much better if you let go of your damn ego. But you know what? It's hard to let go of your ego, especially if you've worked really hard to get where you are, right?
Yeah.
If you worked really hard, if you spent a lot of money, spent a lot of time, and earned where you are, it's hard to let go of that ego. So maybe you should
It's
just
also
take a trip,
important-
brother.
It is also important though to ride that ego like a motherfucker.
Well, you know what's good about the ego and pride is it can keep you honest, it can keep you not honest, but it can keep you saying, I'm on top, I'm going to stay on top, this is who I am, I'm going to stay who I am. Because you know who you are at that point, hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully the ego has an identity. But,
Speaking of identity, what do you think? I mean, I think that's a big problem with a lot of folks.
Identity?
A lot of
Knowing
people
who you
our
are?
age. Yeah, not knowing. Well, no, I'm not talking about physical identity, obviously, but I mean,
Is my veg...
right.
Is it, I think,
must be.
no,
No, dude, I'm talking like. I think a lot of people our age,
Yeah.
late 20s, early 30s, are coming at this point in their life where they don't know what their identity is, who they are,
it's a quarter
and you could struggle with achieving all the other shit in life when you don't know that.
life crisis.
There you go. Yeah.
You know what I view as a quarter life crisis?
Huh.
Something that I know me and my wife are going through right now is just anxiousness. We're anxious to get.
we're anxious.
No, we're anxious to get to the next level. Next level bullshit, right? We want to get to
Yeah.
the next level. We want to become those investors. We want to start like, should we get a home that's like our dream home right now, so we can say we're living in it? Or should we start investing in houses where we put renters in there and start earning
Right.
money? And so it's like we don't know which way to go because there's a finite amount of time on this earth. So,
Right.
so when
the
you
decisions we all make right now are going to jeopardize the way that we can live in our happiness 20 years from now.
either capitalize or jeopardize, absolutely, absolutely. So sacrifice now, cash in now, cash in later. That's the decision that we're trying to figure out right now. So it's tough. It's a tough decision. Quarter life crisis. We're anxious. We want to do something, but we don't know what to do.
Well said, man. I think there's a lot of people out there that are experiencing that.
Absolutely.
My advice to those who are experiencing that is not very good advice, except just make sure you are thinking about it.
Yeah.
Find the dichotomy in being happy now and not being miserable in what the future is, because then you're living in the future or you're living in the past. You don't want to do neither. You actually definitely want to live in the present.
Right.
But make sure you have a good balance of living in the present now while still thinking about the future.
Right.
Obviously frequently, but it's up to you
Right.
to find that balance. So you're not thinking about the future too much, and so you're not thinking about it too little.
Yep.
I think that's a big trick in life.
Well, you don't want to get stuck. You know, a lot of people seem to get stuck. I know
Stuck being fucking miserable.
when we're talking about identity issues, I know when I was like 22, I was having some real issues myself, and I know my other friends were also having like, okay, who am I? What am I supposed to be doing in this life? You know, but I've gotten past that, luckily. And if you're 22, trust me, you'll figure it out. Just keep working, keep moving forward. And I know if moving forward sounds like arbitrary to you or too abstract,
standard.
but you literally need to just. Well, there's a lot of advice I could give you, but I'm not going to go on that rant right now. I'm going to stay focused.
Why not, bro? Give it to us.
Nah, bro,
No?
not going there.
Well, to the folks listening, if you don't know what you want, it's due to two reasons.
What are those?
One, you already have it. The second reason is you don't know yourself. As simple as that. How to find yourself, I don't think anyone can tell you that. How to know yourself, I think that's completely on you.
Well, if you get back on the subject of hallucinogens, it can really help you, or it could totally fuck you, which is why there's fear in taking. You know, I with the mushrooms thing,
right?
You know, I've never taken enough mushrooms to get me to the point where I'm like seriously tripping, because I'm afraid I don't want to ruin my mind. There's a mind that you're given, and you're only given one in this life, one mind, and you don't want to ruin it. You know. And so, if you just tip one thing over the scale, off the scale, goes one direction, you turn too many of your neural pathways, which are real, into one way streets. Then you're going to get stuck. Right. You know, so you need to be careful, right? We all need to be careful, but we also need to enlighten ourselves and not get stuck in this like mode of. You got to go to work. You got to do this. You got to do that. It's like
don't
this
turn
box.
into a fucking zombie, dude.
Well,
don't be a robot.
They call them squares.
Square,
right? They call them squares.
Be
but
there,
you know what?
be
Squares
square.
are successful. Okay?
Yeah.
Squares get it done. They're also fucking faggots. So there's a happy medium. There's a happy medium, you know, and either way, there's going to be a time in your life when you're done experimenting. But when you're younger, you can experiment. But you're going to also, during those experiments, you're going to see a lot of your friends die. You're going to see a lot of your friends get hurt. You're going to see a lot of stuff happen. And just pray to God that you're not going to be one of those people and someone close to you isn't one of those people. But when you see someone close to you get hurt or die or kill themselves, whatever happens, it's fucking real. And that's when you start maturing out of this experimental phase.
Yeah, I think too, though, if you are afraid to take an hallucinogen, there's probably a dark side of you. Not dark side of you, sure, probably that too. Or at least a fear of yours, a weakness, whatever, that you're not facing. Because, I've listened to countless recordings of people talking about their DMT experience. Even back in the beginning episodes with Austin. Austin shared his. Mm-hmm. That was actually a really good episode. That was like before episode 10, I'm sure. Episode 6 or 5. One of the first ones that he was on. And listening to a lot of these people giving their, sharing their experience, it sounds like those who were afraid and started out with a bad trip, it was a bad trip because they were afraid, and they were afraid because they knew they could have a bad trip. Well, I've heard of them seeing whatever it is that they're afraid of, and you have to approach it and basically just fucking kick its ass, dude. Mm-hmm. I mean, as simple as that. Just acknowledge it, kick its ass, it's over, move forward, boom, you're released, you're happy. You're making progress now.
Right. One of the most beautiful experiences I ever had was when I did acid for the very first time, and we were out on Dead Man's Island.
Oh,
where
fuck yeah, dude.
You're not supposed to go there and camp, but people still do. You just have to keep it low key.
Right. Dead Man's Island is this little island located up here in the PNW. When I say little, I mean little. People have houses the size of this island.
Yep.
It's very
it's not
small.
That small, but yeah.
It's very small. You could
probably like 3 houses.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Probably like 100 yards long. Yep.
Probably
100 yards.
So you could almost throw a fucking baseball across it.
They call it Dead Man's Island because Gig Harbor used to be a very heavily populated Native American location. So, like for example, my best friend who lived right next to me, about a mile away. We lived on the water. He lives a mile inland. His grandfather used to go down to the water, and the Indians, like Native Americans, they used to still have huts, and they used to be fishing down there, and that was a thing. So heavily populated native land. So anyways, they call it Dead Man's Island because Native Americans used to kayak over there and bury their dead or hang them up in the trees.
Right.
I think
that's
that was
also
one of the
where
things.
people were. Yeah, it's where people who got in trouble were executed.
Ooh.
And AKA hung. And if you see at the end of the island, it's totally a hanging spot, dude. There's a tree
perfect hanging spot.
that hangs right off of the fucking cliffs. Absolutely, you could totally tell us where people were.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So it's
and plus too, a lot of it's tradition, not tradition, I should say, but symbolism more so for a lot of cultures and villages and towns from many years ago, where they would put the people that they hung at the entrance to. Or to the outskirts of their village to show enemies and foreigners that, we will fucking hang you if you fuck around.
It's a warning
basically.
sign.
But yeah, exactly.
One of my favorite scenes in Pirates of the Caribbean is where
right,
they're
that's what I was
coming
thinking
in.
of too.
Yeah,
Pirates
they're
of the
coming in,
Caribbean,
and
yeah.
the pirates are hanging there. If you're a pirate, we're gonna kill you.
Stay the fuck out.
Yeah. Well,
exactly.
you need to give these warnings off. So, Dead Man's Island was a Native American burial, or I don't know what it was exactly, but if they were hanging people as a warning sign.
Do you think there's some fucking ghosts? Because I've stayed the night
No.
on Dead Man's a couple times. You think
I'm
there's
not worried
some
about it.
ghosts there? Do you believe in ghosts?
A little bit, but not really.
I do too. I think,
Not really.
I think they've got to be like people who obviously souls that probably have to reincarnate, but are in denial of their death.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You brought that up before. I've heard
Have
you
I?
say that before.
I'm
Yeah,
sure I
no,
have.
absolutely. I've heard it. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
we've talked about these things, but
What
yeah,
do you think?
I'm not sure. I'm not a big buyer of it. When I was younger, I feel like I used to see ghosts more often. I remember when I was young, I felt like I was seeing like my grandfather or my grandmother in the corner of my eye, like always in the middle of a hallway, and I would look over. It was always in the corner of my eye. And I'd look over, but there was never anything there. And as I've gotten older,
It could
I've
just be your mind.
exactly. You know what? Because a hallway that it makes a frame, and then if you put a couple shadows in there, you got a body. A
Right.
person's body, right? Shoulders are pretty easy to replicate. A head. So, anyways,
But you don't think that there's like living spirits out there, ghosts? You don't think ghosts can be real?
I have no clue. I don't have
They've
enough
gotta
evidence.
be, man.
Yeah, well,
I think, I'm sure 80% of the stories we hear are bullshit, or not bullshit, but like we just said, people's minds.
I'll tell you what-
seeing them versus them being able to
Okay.
be seen by multiple people. But
I'll tell you what I think is real. I think demons are real.
then ghosts have to be real.
So I feel like ghosts are demons. I feel like
you think?
demons. Yeah, I feel like demons can get stuck inside people,
Yeah,
and then
I believe that 100%.
absolutely, and I
Yeah.
think people can be converted into demons, or doing the work of demons,
ghosts have to be real.
be the
then, don't you
tools of demons. I have no clue whether or not a human soul can become a demon. I have no clue. I don't have enough. I don't understand. I haven't done enough research
think?
on
Well,
that.
you know what's crazy, man? You and I talked about it on episode 37 about, the reptiles, draconians, if you will, whatever.
Yeah.
Fucking lizard people, dude.
Did
right?
we talk about lizard people?
We did. Heavily.
Lizard.
Yeah. Those have to be demons too, because you look at the symbolism from the Bible, from the serpent telling Eve to eat the apple, right?
The
And
serpent?
right,
And the serpent had legs at that time.
right. And God punished the serpent by saying you're going to slither on your belly.
Yep.
Well, that has to be part of it, dude. I have a little heart condition called AFib, right?
Yeah, I hope you're okay.
I am good. However, the night where I discovered this, I was having a very vivid dream right before it happened.
Mm-hmm.
And this dream, I think, has a lot of symbolism. Let's just say something happened where it was perhaps a weakness of mine.
Yeah.
And I was also, before I was doing it, was doing astral projection.
Mm-hmm.
Connecting the dots here. You had reached out to me not even knowing I was doing astral projection that night before it happened, and you told me to be careful. Astral projection.
I had been thinking about it for a couple weeks, and I Yep, I've been thinking about it for a couple weeks. I researched it, and I had learned, and I was scared for you because from what I've read, it's a dangerous thing that you're getting into. You're getting into another dimension, and you're making yourself vulnerable to demons.
That's the key point. Well, and to those who don't know, astral projection is pretty much you could say a type of meditation. Where you leave your body. It's an out-of-body experience. You can travel, sure. Are you in control? It's different for everyone. Most people have a different experience.
You're awake, right?
Right. And a lot of this stuff with hallucinogens and astral projection, the stuff we're talking about right now is stuff where of course there's risk. Well, with astral projection, it's an out-of-body experience. But here's the thing: is when you leave your body's also available. Just like when you leave your house is available for a burglar to jump in and go through all your shit while you're away.
We are a vessel.
Our bodies are a vessel. Well, my dream was very specific, and it was basically a weakness of mine. I'm not going to share it on the podcast. Maybe I will one day. But basically, at the end of the dream, what I saw was my daughter climbing onto a bed, and I saw a snake hissing at my daughter on the floor. So I kind of like stomped the ground to startle the snake, and that's when the snake noticed me. And when the snake turns its head around and notices me, it hisses at me. Well, I stomp at the ground again to startle the snake and scare the snake away, go away. And that's when the snake then lunged at me. I grabbed the snake continued at me and bit me, and that's when I woke up. And I woke up to my heart in an AFib condition, had to go to the emergency room, was in the ER for 7 hours.
It's terrifying.
This is before I was trying to do astral projection.
Yeah.
So what it could have been to those believers of astral projection,
it's real.
Demons, whatever, it is real.
Astral projection is a real.
The military used it to figure out how to fucking basically. That was in the 50s. That was the military's way of having drones with humans before having a.
It's a real out of body. It's a real meditation technique that takes you somewhere, but at the same time, what it's doing is it's removing your ability to.
You're leaving your vessel.
Block. Yeah, your vessel is vulnerable, and where you're going is vulnerable too. Everywhere around.
Draconian / reptilian demon, whatever you want to call it. We've talked about this before. Heavy stuff in David Icke, the reptilians, these interdimensional beings, lizard fucking
real.
people. Right.
Astral projection is proof of that.
Well,
Google
whatever that was, this evil entity saw my vessel, saw my weakness,
coming after you,
and came after me.
I recommend don't do it. I think I would take this as a warning, not as something that it's real and I should just go try it because. And then you're going to do some research. There are people who claim they're having wonderful time, wonderful trips. However, the deeper they get into it, you will find they start to get tormented everywhere they go all the time. Every time you astral project, you're letting just another demon in. So I want you guys to take this as a warning, at least from my perspective and from Lloyd's perspective. Go look up people's experiences with it, and you'll see that it's good at first. People will be all happy. And all of a sudden, they start to go dark.
Well, people who are good at astral projection or who do it frequently or have it down where they can do it on command, those people who have talked on the internet have also given warnings every time.
Yeah. Don't do it.
So, I should have taken that warning. Lesson learned from it now. I know enough about it, and I know not enough about it to know that I'm good and I don't need to attempt doing it again.
It doesn't matter what religion you are part of or what beliefs you have. If you look at kind of every religion out there, every belief system out there, they do claim that the body is a temple, it's a vessel, and it's something you need to keep pure, right?
It's your vessel to this third dimension.
Absolutely.
And you may be, and here's the thing too to contemplate. You may be limited with your 5 senses, and there are things that just because you don't see it or hear it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. And that's what we kind of stand by in today's life. Think about it like this: if your head, think about a TV. back in the antenna days. The TV is on. You could quickly flip the channel to the next channel. Okay, but currently, before you flip the channel, you could only see the channel that you were looking at. Now, just because the next channel is something you can't see doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It's there, and you can tune into it if you want. Right now, you are in tune with your five senses. If you want to tune out and tune into another frequency or another channel, you can. And it's not only that you can, but just know that there's other frequencies, other vibrations happening. That's what life is vibrations. It's sight is, hearing is, taste, everything's vibrations. You can tune in to get into other frequencies. That's what got me so obsessed with the idea of the Matrix. So I just watched the trilogy again. We talked about it on the last episode, and that shit was fascinating. We are at that time where we're going to take a quick break.
Yes, sir.
And folks, we'll be back with you. This is Pack X Podcast, episode 39. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back with you after the break. Welcome back. John's excited. Everyone, thank you for tuning in. We're back from the break. This is episode 39. I'm Lloyd.
I'm John.
And this is the Pack X Podcast, where we're with you and we're with us. That's right. So currently, too, having some issues with the website, but you can still go there and have access. It just hasn't been updated. Having some trouble updating it in the last 30 days. That website is PackX, P-A-C-X, packxpodcast.com. From there, you can go ahead and have quick links to the most recent episodes. In fact, all the episodes. More importantly, your favorite platform to tune in, whether that be iTunes, YouTube, Podbean, CastBox, you name it. We are on Facebook, we are on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on all the above. Whatever platform it is, follow us. Give us a thumbs up, give us a like, and share us with your friends. That's going to be the best way to get us to that next level, where we're delivering even better content with better sound quality. So yeah, give us a thumbs up, give us a like, a download, share us with your friends.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, John.
Yes, sir.
We were talking about. Wow, we were down deep.
Yes,
actually.
we were. We were deep. We were deep. We were changing the channel.
We were. That's what we were talking
channeling,
about. That's right.
Channeling in, channeling out.
Yeah.
What channel are you on? That made me think of AM, FM radio. You know.
Right.
There's AM radio and there's FM radio. Which frequency are you going to be on? And you know, I wanted to blurt out before. You know, if you think, you know, if you're an atheist, style person, and that's what doesn't really matter. If you're into like just strictly science, lights on, lights off, that's it. There's no metaphysical. You can still agree, and science can verify that we're on a frequency. We are. Everything is on a frequency. The entire world, the entire material world is really just on vibrations, right?
That's right.
And so it's not too far-fetched.
And this is something I've brought up several episodes with you. And in fact, one of the people we're going to be having interview, he mentioned this quote to me, and after we're already as deep into what we were discussing, which was a lot of this stuff, actually,
yep.
Plus much more. We were drinking out there in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Good time. Mentioned the quote from Alan Watts that I've recited with you before, and it's if a tree
falls in the forest, there's no one there to hear it.
Doesn't make a sound. What do you think about that?
You want me to say it again?
I do. I want to hear it again.
I think it's a bunch of hullabaloo.
You think so? But isn't that a fascinating thing to think about? What if you're wrong? What if it doesn't make a sound?
What are we insinuating here?
Well, I agree with you. I think it does, but that's why I love that challenging quote so much. I think it does make a sound. But I'm fascinated with the idea that I could be wrong.
Well, here's where you are wrong.
Then again, you think about the computer.
Here's where you're wrong.
Go. What do you got?
The definition of a sound is created by us, correct?
I suppose.
If
I don't
there's
know.
no one there to hear it, then it doesn't make a sound because there's no one there to observe it or
Right.
hear it, which is another human creation, which is another way. And it's hearing, sound. These are ways that we describe how we interpret the world.
Right. It's a vibration that one of your senses is
Well,
decoding.
It's a vibrate. Well,
Yeah.
of course. However, that's a definition, but it's a human definition of our observance of the world.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at. It's a human because it's a human definition. It doesn't make a sound if there was no one there to define what a sound was necessarily.
If the simulation theory is correct, which we talked about last episode, the matrix reality idea, then it probably does not make a sound. Because you think about if you put on a VR, right?
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of trees and shit behind you.
Yeah.
It's not behind you.
Yeah.
Actually. But when you turn around with this virtual headset on, it codes itself to be there within that small time frame that you're turning your head to visualize it.
Right.
So therefore it's there. Now if you turn, just like when you're playing a video game, let's say Grand Theft Auto, right? A massive game.
Yeah.
Right? Where shit happens on one side of the, or Skyrim, whatever you will, whatever, okay? Minecraft, okay?
Uh-huh.
Shit changes on a specific area of that map. Is the computer that is harnessing this simulation going to use that extra computer power to create the sound of it falling when there's no players there to hear it?
Right.
Or is it just going to code itself that way when a player approaches it?
I think it definitely, the proof that we have that it does make a sound is the microevolutions that we see in silence. So we see microevolution in any, pretty much all organisms have microevolution where they adapt to the world. So that's our proof right there. We know that the birds on the Galapagos Islands, right? Their beaks are harder than the birds, the same bird, somewhere else. Or at this season, their beak is harder. At this season, their beak is not hard because of the types of nuts or whatever that are being delivered.
Interesting.
So the proof is that there's things that are being born that we can't see being born. There are things. There are plants that are overtaking certain areas that we don't watch grow, but we know they're growing. And so I don't think that. Well, and then here's another thing, right? If we want to get deeper into this, maybe, just maybe, the world is that simulation right there. What I could probably say with confidence though is, so you'd be driving down the road and there's a deer that pops out and jumps in front of your car and you hit the deer, right? I feel like God is in control of all the AIs. Not AIs, all the
NPCs, non-playable characters.
Exactly, absolutely, absolutely. So at any given moment, he'll just throw a deer in front of you, or any natural event that we can prescribe to God, in control of that, because we definitely aren't. There are people.
Is God the one controlling that NPC non-playable character, that figure jumping in front of the car, or is God the creator of the creator of the video game, like the simulation? Because if you think about it, the people who created a video game per se, right, where you're driving, let's say Grand Theft Auto, and a person jumps in front of you.
Yeah.
Did the creators of that game make that person jump in front of you, or did the game do that and the creators made the game?
I think God is separate from the creation for sure.
Okay.
Separate from the creation. Right. It is God is not the creation.
Because I created that fish tank in there.
Yeah.
But I have nothing to do with what's going on in there right now.
Absolutely. You are separate from the creation. However, you can guide those fish.
I can't.
You can guide those. Exactly. You can tell the fish where to go.
I see. Deep. That's fucking deep, dude.
Yes, sir.
Crazy. I'm fascinated with the idea of that tree not making a sound if no one's there to hear it. Just because I think that unlocks a door to. Look, I think it does, folks. Don't think that I don't think it. I think it 100% does. But that question, I think, opens the door to a lot more in life and in defining what reality is that people just don't take the time to do. And to kind of lure that to, and what I want to talk about now, John, is something as simple as, since life is vibrations, perhaps that, when you're negative, when you're someone who's down, when you're a negative person, you're suicidal, or you're just angry all the time, or you have resentment or even guilt, or you're even jealous, let's say, all these negative emotions and feelings, I think has to be a low frequency that you're stuck in. Versus having high frequencies. For example, when you are having sex, when you take a shower, when you're performing in front of an audience and you're doing really well, you've got to be in high frequencies.
Sure.
And I think people can be within frequency with each other. Just like when you're thinking about someone and they call you. John, that's happened with you and I several times in the last week.
All the time.
In the last
Never
2
stops.
weeks since our last episode. You'll call. I was listening to John and I's episode. I don't listen to my own podcast very often. But I knew we were leading up to this episode, and I wanted to listen back and kind of just get that vibe going, before this recording. And I listened to an entire episode. It was episode 37, and right when the episode finished, on the dot, John called me.
Yeah,
he's like, "Holy shit,
we're on the same wavelength."
Right, and that's what I think. People say that, but I don't think people actually contemplate on what that means. That's got to be something very real and powerful.
Absolutely.
Not just chance. It can't be just chance, dude.
Absolutely.
There's no fucking way.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a million different things that somebody could be doing. But there's so many consequences. We call them not consequences. We call them coincidences. But how about that? How about that as a concept? Are there coincidences, or is it all
sure?
Or is it all planned?
Well, it's kind of like what Forrest Gump.
Is there destiny? That's the question.
Yeah, that's something that's a back and forth thing that's contemplated in the Matrix movies, in the Matrix trilogy. Forrest Gump says he answers that question. Is in the movie Forrest Gump, obviously. Is life just a feather? Are you just a feather floating around?
I love it.
Do you have destiny? And Forrest Gump responds and says, "I think it's both."
I think it's both too.
It has to be both.
I think we have it.
Just like a video game. The video game is designed for this level to be this way. It's designed for the map and the player to have this specific experience at level 1, 5, or 20, or 100.
Right.
However, you still have choice.
Yeah.
You still have free will, yet there's only 6 options, 6 endings to the video game.
Right.
So technically... But you get to choose which
of
those 6 endings based off your choices.
That is a great example. That is the best example. It sounds so tacky.
Thank you.
But it's true. It's like that's one of the greatest examples because you could sit there in level 1 and chop trees down the whole time. You're never going to move to level 2.
Unless you turn around and go down this path.
But you know what's going to happen? You're going to hit pause or you're going to turn it off. Eventually,
get your bag of Cheetos, beat your meat a little bit.
Eventually.
Right.
You
gotta get that. Gotta get.
Whoa, shit! Almost fell.
Okay, but for real, I think that's a great example because your character is destined.
Right.
However, you have the choice to twiddle your fingers. You have the choice to go a certain direction, and how are you going to get there? The designer of the game doesn't tell you how you're going to get there.
Right, it's up to you to figure out, and you can make different choices to get there.
Absolutely.
Those are the best games, not just RPGs that don't really have an ending. There's a lot of RPGs and role-playing games, and other games too, where it doesn't really have an ending. It's just that you play a certain character a certain way throughout the game. However, there's certain games out there made too where there are 6 to 10 different endings.
Check this out. Maybe Destiny. Okay, so it's kind of like Alan Watts. This would be Alan Watts' theology right here, or philosophy right here. Maybe destiny is only a creation of our perception. So what I'm saying is we have a choice. We all know there are way too many coincidences. The coincidences are insane. So it's so weird. It's so weird. Like, this could not happen, bro. It could not. 1 in a trillion chances. Yeah, because 1 in a trillion chances. It couldn't happen. However, you're making these choices to do certain things. And in making those choices, you are bringing yourself closer to your destiny, whichever direction you're going. And I think that destiny can change. it changes.
It has to be able to change, man.
It
You can't
changes.
just fucking...
You always have you are determining
Can't be a
where
same-
you go, for sure. But what you're learning, where you're going, what's happening, what degradations you're doing to yourself, or what positions you're putting yourself in, whether good or bad, you are bringing yourself closer to your destiny, which is whatever it is, right?
Right. Very interesting.
You take your
So,
experience. I think it molds itself.
Does destiny... I think you and I already answered this, but does destiny conflict with choice? Free will?
No. Because we
Neo-
have ultimate free will. We have
Neo
ultimate
answers-
free will.
I think so too. Neo answers that in the first movie, where Morpheus says, "Do you believe in destiny?" And he says, "No." Neo says, "No," and he says, Morpheus asks why, and he says, "Because I like to think that I make my own choices."
Yeah.
Right, and then they find the end of the movie. Throughout the trilogy, you find out it is destiny. All of it was destiny, and he did make his own choices to that, to fulfill that destiny.
We have the free will to do whatever we want in this world. That's why there are people like Jeffrey Dahmer, and that's why there are people like the President of the United States, whoever that is. We have a choice to go up or down, or left or right. We have that choice.
What do you think? How do you think that all multi-dimensions coincide with what life is, with the afterlife?
The afterlife?
What do you think actually happens when we die, in the grand scheme of things?
Well, I think there's a war going around us. I side with...
there has
Absolutely.
to
I think
be.
there's a spiritual war going on around us for sure. The metaphysical world is real. There's no way to explain this universe without explaining a prior universe or an internal universe that we cannot see, which holds it all together. There's something that holds it all together. There's something that put this into motion. You can't be just sitting there and interpreting everything and not know that there's something stronger that's behind your interpretation. Like, you could not, none of us could exist. The fabric of the universe could not exist unless there's something else that existed that we cannot understand or see right now.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah.
So when you die,
Yes, sir.
my thought is there has to be several options, right? I think, and obviously this is kind of brass tacks, fits in with multiple religions based on, you can say, performance. Whatever you do in life is going to jeopardize what happens when you die. And I don't think it's, I personally don't think it's just heaven or hell. I think that's kind of like saying if you don't pass the first grade, you're either going to redo it again or you're going to go to the second.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Which, in a sense, is true, but there's a much bigger picture. The point is to graduate
Sure.
high school, right? is to graduate, you know what I mean? And I think that you can either be recycled in the sense of reincarnated, and basically you're, what's what life is. You're going to live life over and over. That's what they say. There's old souls. You're going to live your life over and over until you're ready, until you're conditioned enough to move on to the next dimension. And I believe that, God must have jobs for us. And I told you this earlier before we started recording. And elevating to the next dimension, if you want to even call it that, if that's even what happens, in a sense is like getting promoted. And because if you look at, I've watched a few documentaries really diving into near-death experiences, and people communicate, people before they actually died, real people before they actually had their deaths, were willing to talk about what it was they were experiencing right before they died. You know what I mean? People on their deathbed, basically. Usually old folk, right? Or someone with cancer.
Sure.
Okay? And a lot of them say that they see their relatives.
Right.
Or someone who is not a relative that they don't know, but they feel like they know them. And
Right.
they'll talk all the time, at least in the American culture, in the North American culture. Well, this is their story. They will see, actually all over the world,
Western.
they'll see someone, Western society, civilization, will see someone who they know basically sitting at the end of their bed, guiding them through this process of accepting death, because they probably don't want them to be reincarnated. I think it was famous rapper Tupac. A quote from Tupac said, he doesn't fear death.
What's say?
He fears
Sorry.
living again.
Say that again?
Tupac said he does not fear death. He fears living again. That's got to be reincarnation that he's talking about,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, and I can understand that's what I'm afraid of. Because then if you think about it, if you have to live again, be reincarnated again, you forget the life you just lived. And that's what people why at least, they ultimately fear death. I was listening to an Alan Watts lecture on it before, and he said, the chronic death or chronic fear that we have is if the interval between life and death is all there is. Does the interval triumph? The interval is like winter between leaves growing on the tree and dying and more leaves coming back. It's the interval in the in-between of something happening and something not and something happening again. Mm-hmm. The chronic fear of life and death is that the interval, death, will triumph because the death is the interval, right? And I think that's the ultimate fear. Is that the last thing that happens and there's nothing after that, And I think it's technically, yes, that's what reincarnation is. You're not going to remember your previous life, and I think that is absolutely terrifying. I would love to remember this life in the afterlife and not be reincarnated and move on to the next dimension or the next level. But I think that's why people say, too, the good die young. Perhaps that's someone who's graduated, someone who's ready. Their soul is ready to move on. Right. There's no need to continue living.
It's destined.
It's destined. They're ready to go. Right. And that's why they say the good die young. Yeah, because they only needed just half a life.
To get what was needed to be done.
Right, to level up. Level up in the game. Go to the next dimension. For whatever there is there. And obviously we're in the third dimension. Yeah, I also am leaning towards the idea that hell doesn't exist. That hell does exist, but not in a burning and fire way. I think what could be the equivalent to hell is being reincarnated
living
over
again.
And over and over and over again. And this could be hell.
Well, what most cultures agree on is that
the soul
is
folks.
eternal.
It's not my stamp on it belief system, by the way. I love talking about this shit and sharing, and that's kind of what I'm thinking it could be.
Well, we're all alive, we're all living, and we can all watch something die. Something dies, and when something dies, what we see happen is that spirit that was with that thing is no longer there. It leaves the body. Something leaves. And if you're more on the side of
some
just
people
science,
would say the conscious body is just no longer running.
Yeah. If you're on the side of science, like I don't know what you call yourself. You call yourself whatever you want. But if you think it's lights on, lights off, and there's nothing but the material world, I guess that's a materialist, right? You're a materialist. Lights on, lights off. There's nothing else. Then there's nothing else, right? And so I think that sounds like a bit of hell. You want to bring that on yourself. That's what you want to believe. That's great. But that sounds like it's just never-ending darkness. Like when you get knocked out, you're gone. That's that. But most of the world, maybe it's because we're weak-minded, whatever you want to call us. But I sit in this group is that I do believe that there's a spirit that leaves the body. There's something that's beyond this material world, and I was just talking about it earlier. It's an explanation for what the world we have right now is that there is something behind this material world. But what I'm getting at,
go ahead.
I'm going to get at where I think it is. I think it is pretty black and white. I think so? There's good and there's evil. There's up, there's down.
Right, I think so.
Okay, there's right and there's left. There's up, there's down. There's diagonals. Yeah, we know that. Yeah. But I think there's positive. There's positive energy. There's negative energy. Wherever you go in cultures, whether it's Eastern, Western, Southern, America,
here in God's country.
Here in God's country.
Like John looks at his notes. I'm pretty sure you have
Blake Shelton.
Written.
Blake Shelton, because we're in God's country. But either or, it doesn't matter what philosophy you come from. You'll see the same. You'll see the exact same philosophy being taught. That there is a white and there's a black. There's a good and there's an evil. And it's just kind of funny. So where I'm going with this is with the reincarnation piece. The Bible talks about there's the first death, the death of this world where you die and you leave this world, and then there's a second death. And the whole idea of being a Christian and accepting Christ into your life is to escape the second death. And the Bible doesn't talk much about what that second death is, but there's a second.
It's got to be reincarnation.
There's a second death. Well, it could be the reincarnation. It does talk about like hell. and eternity in this place, eternity in that place, but there's a second death, which is what you're trying to escape. So, so just bringing that out into the conversation. We're talking about there is good and evil. Okay, when people like to blur the line and say good and evil is just it's just relative, and sure, it is relative. If I'm sitting on that side of the line and you shoot my brother, then you're evil. However, my brother had done something bad to you, and that's why it's good to kill him, right? That is relative. I understand that. However, we can all agree that killing anybody is wrong and it's evil. You're not supposed to kill people, right? Whether or not they deserve it or not.
What do you think? Speaking of, then, what do you think of the death penalty?
No, I don't think we should kill someone.
Right.
Period.
Yeah, I think so too.
And plus, there's economical reasons as well.
Right.
It costs more
it's hard
money.
to say that that Ted Bundy shouldn't have been executed. It's hard to say that they for that not to happen, but
people have a misunderstanding of the cost of keeping someone alive in jail.
Right.
And guess what, guys? It actually costs more to give someone the death penalty than it does to feed them the rest of their life.
How do you know that? Is that true?
It's a fact.
Is it so?
Absolutely. Look it up.
How?
This is how. Number one, when someone is sentenced to the death penalty, they are allowed to appeal to every single court after. Okay? So you got small courts, you got local governments,
Yeah, dude,
you got
Ted Bundy
state,
totally
you got
did.
federal.
There's
So
a documentary on Netflix
Yeah,
about Ted
and
Bundy.
so what's
and
happened?
then the movie that just came out.
Right.
about
So
Ted
so
Bundy.
let's look at the cost of that. Okay, so the government.
By the way, sorry to interrupt. Ted Bundy, for those of you who do not know, we're from the PNW. Ted Bundy was a serial killer from the PNW. We have an episode on the minds of serial killers way back in the early episodes. You can go back and check it out. It's called Psychopaths. Ted Bundy was a serial killer from the Pacific Northwest, from the Seattle area during the 70s. He basically murdered countless fucking women.
Countless.
Young, attractive women. And he was very good at it in the sense of no one believed it was him. There was picketers saying there's no way it could have been Ted. He was involved in politics. He was educated in law. He was
a lawyer.
going to college. He was a lawyer. And likable person. No one would have ever predicted that he would have been the one to do this. And the suspect, he was a suspect. They knew it was someone named Ted with a Volkswagen Beetle, and his name was Ted with a Volkswagen Beetle. And he basically went from doing it in the Pacific Northwest, Seattle area in the 70s to doing it in, I think, Colorado, I want to say, and then even Florida.
He made his
where
way
he
to
got
Florida.
Caught, escaped from jail twice.
Well, this is how much of a psychopath he was. Is after he escaped, the dude went along and he couldn't help himself. He was so
After
possessed.
he escaped, he went fucking
He was
nuts
so
in
possessed. Well, he could have just disappeared, right?
Florida. Well, he got
But
sloppy
he decided
in Florida
not.
with
He
his
decided.
murders.
Well, no. He just decided he was so possessed that he had to just kill more women, and he went freaking psycho. Normally, he would. All right, this is so crazy. Like, I don't want to talk about it as it's nonchalant, but normally he would go out, find a girl, make him feel compassionate towards him because he was injured or whatever it is, and they kill him, bury him out somewhere. Who knows? I think there's like 39 verified deaths.
30
verified.
to 50.
Yeah,
a lot
but
of
there's
unknown, too.
plenty that we have no idea. But
Right.
anyways, the dude went psycho for some reason. I think he wanted to get caught. I think that's what he wanted.
Well,
But
yeah, dude.
I think that's what he
interesting
wanted. I think he wanted to get
documentary
caught.
on Netflix is the fucking tape. Is the tapes recording of a journalist that spent a lot of time with him leading up to his execution. And basically, he said that Ted would not talk about, because remember, Ted never confessed. He didn't confess, and what Ted wanted to talk about was himself, and he wanted to talk about himself
Why?
not being a murderer,
Yeah,
just
why?
about his life,
Uh-huh.
right? He was trying to basically, because he knew, hey, you're the news, you're a reporter, make himself famous, dude. He was all about himself, right? He's gonna try to win people over. That's how he tried to do it. I'm Ted Bundy. Come on, I wouldn't do this. He was basically talking about his life, his childhood, and all that. Okay, well, they couldn't get him to talk about the murders, right? And that's what they wanted to do. So instead, what the journalist did was tricked him and said, Ted, they had to get him to talk in third person. So he said, Ted, what do you think the murderer would have done? And didn't acknowledge the murderer for the first time as him, saying, why did you do this? Or what made you do this? And said, Ted, what do you think the murderer done?
Uh-huh.
Why did you think the serial killer we're after did this?
And when he said that to Ted in his cell, Ted smiled, grabbed the recorder, and held it like a baby, and had a creepy smile. And he said his pupils went black, just fucking went wide, and he started talking. And that's when he finally started talking about the murders.
Yeah.
As if it was someone who he didn't know but knew about due to his education and profession. Because he was very smart. He was into psychology. He wasn't into law. So he talked about him that way. And basically the conclusion of why Ted did it is because they said that in his brain he must have not felt any empathy.
Right.
How do you move? Empathy is everything.
I think he
dude.
did.
How do you be so successful without it, though?
I think if you're within a human body, I think you do have empathy, but I think you can be overtaken by these spiritual forces. I think it's real. I really do. I think everything bad that people do is them getting influenced by something evil.
Right. It has to be, yeah.
Yeah, I really do. But where were we, Lloyd? Why did we get into the Ted Bundy thing? I totally... Okay, but why were we talking about Ted Bundy? Bro, we gotta know why. I don't remember why. Before, we were talking about good and evil. I brought something up, then you went on the tangent telling people what Ted Bundy is.
True, I interrupted you. By the way, who Ted Bundy is?
Everybody knows who Ted Bundy is on Netflix. Yeah. It's okay, though.
Yeah, I said,
talking about something.
I asked you, death penalty.
Death penalty. Why do I think the death penalty is not okay? Oh, yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah, and I asked
Let's
you,
finish up.
Yeah.
I got it.
So, hold on. You said, Lloyd, why were we talking about it?
Yeah.
Since I hit play,
Yeah. Oh, I remember. I remember now. So, we were talking about Ted Bundy. You asked me why the death penalty.
Sorry for the interruption.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
I went
So,
on talking about Ted
we
Bundy.
could talk about this all day. Maybe we'll push this on to the next episode. We'll talk about serial killers. There's so many of them. I took criminal law in high school, and there's so many serial killers that come out of Wash, the PNW,
Green
of
River
all
Killer.
places. Oh yeah, just it never stops. Jeffrey Dahmer, the Washington D.C. snipers. It never stops. But anyways, you asked me what I think about the death penalty. Do I think it's right or wrong? I said no. I don't think death penalty is okay. Number one, for moral reasons. If you're going to tell people they can't kill people, then you probably shouldn't be killing people, right?
Right.
Morally, you're contradicting yourself, right? That's wrong. Number two, there are people that should not be in society, like Jeffrey Dahmer, the DC snipers, people who are causing a menace and doing evil things. They shouldn't be in society. Should we kill them? No. Again, you're contradicting yourself. You can't kill people that can't kill. Anyways, but from an economical perspective, is it more cost effective to house someone for the rest of their lives, whether they're 30, 50, 60, or is it more cost effective to sentence them to death and kill them? Sure, it would be more cost effective to sentence them to death and kill them if you took a bullet and shot them in the head after they were convicted in a local government, right? I'm pretty sure that's how it used to be done. Hang them high, right? Hang them,
Right.
get it done. Yeah, absolutely. However, in today's world, there are mistrials. And because there's mistrials due to either a bad lawyer or anything, that a bad jury or anything, and we have this moral hang-up that we can't kill someone, we shouldn't kill someone, then, we need to be damn sure that they're guilty before we do. And so in saying so, when you're sentenced to the death penalty, you're allowed to appeal to every single court until you get to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court,
Right, I
Supreme.
see.
So every court between, you have to think of all those people that are being hired to not only persecute as the persecutor, to not only judge as the judge, to not only be the security guards, to also transport the prisoner, to also do all those other lawyers behind the prosecutor to do all the research on the case. All these people that you're hiring, and then not to mention the defense is entitled to a defense. So if they can't pay somebody, guess who's paying for it? The tax dollars are paying for it. The citizens are
Right.
paying for it. So, and then if you think about that, all the courts that you're appealing to with all those people, you end up adding up like hundreds and hundreds of people over. And then check this out: not only are you doing that, but you're also clogging the court system. You're stopping people who should be convicted from being, or people who should be judged or whatever, or freed or whatever. You're clogging the system with
I
this
see.
person who you've sentenced to death. They have to go through every single court system.
It could also
So you're
be used,
slowing things down. Yeah.
It could also be used as a negotiation, though.
Uh-huh.
A way to negotiate with these, convicts for finding the remains of the body to put them at rest.
Sure.
For
Yeah.
ratting out
Right.
other bad people
Well,
who they're
No. We're sentencing them to death.
right,
which
but
is-
they
which
could
is-
use that death penalty for negotiation.
Right.
'Cause that's what smart
Sure.
people who get
Sure.
accused do.
Yeah.
They'll say, okay, if we
I
won't
get
sentence you to death if you tell us this,
Right.
this, and that unlocks them to have the
But it's too
ability
late.
to solve more crime.
They've been sentenced to death, and so that sentence. I don't know how the legal system
But that's how
works
people
in
who
terms
do
of
fucked
sentencing.
up things and not get sentenced to death is they use it for negotiation.
I don't know. No, I think that's more along the lines of like a drug deal happened, and we're gonna let you free in 3 years or whatever. If you tell
Versus
us.
like a
but if you
fucking
murder
psychopath.
50
Right,
people,
a sicko.
you know,
yeah.
all those 50,
all you
those-
want to know is where the bodies
all
are.
those 50 families are gonna come at the government if you don't sentence the dude to death, because it's only fair. You killed my family member. You need to die. Live
Right.
by the sword, die by the sword. That's right. But either way, it's morally contradictory, and economically, it's just economically incorrect. You're actually going to save money in the long run if you sentence them to like 100 years, than sentencing them to death.
Very interesting.
Sentence them for 100 years. Boom. You can't
Yeah.
appeal. You can no longer appeal to the superior or whatever, right? Or if you can, it's just not. It's not. They are. You are given the right to appeal to every single court when you are sentenced to death. However, if you're sentenced to 60 years, you're already 40 years old. You're not going to live
Right.
past that
I've
point,
heard
right?
sentences of 200
Yeah,
years.
you just sentence them. You sentence them, and then let's pay for them to live. What, you're going to give them some oatmeal, right? How many? Like 3 lunches, and they're in a jail cell, like.
Right.
Yeah. Anyways,
Very
the
interesting,
cost
man.
the cost is much higher.
We're probably here in the next few episodes. We're gonna have to revisit that one episode we did a long time ago, over a year. That I did with some other folks talking about the minds of serial killers and whatnot. Psychopaths,
Sure.
whatever. We can talk about all that shit. However, we are coming at that time frame. I believe we're over an hour right now into the show. This is the Pack X podcast. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you.
You are what make this worth it. The fans are still growing, even though we have come down to this moment in time where we're only doing an episode a month, for heaven's sake, versus an episode every week, which is what we did the first 35 episodes. However, we're slowing down, and that's because fucking life gets us.
Life happens.
But we're going to be hitting the mic more frequently, more often. And what matters to us is, as long as you're tuning in, you're sharing us with your friends, maybe not with your family, and give us those downloads and those thumbs up and those likes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for tuning in. This is the Pack X podcast, episode 39. We will see you, talk to you next time.
Next time it is.